I should have played dance music. I forgot. This is Pride. Let me change that. Here we go. Some dance pop. Can y'all hear me? See, I'm already ready to dance. This is a rare moment for me. Um, Happy Pride. I'm gonna try to go to Pride tomorrow. It depends on the weather and stuff like that. But this is like the get ready, like get in the mood for that stream. So, but it's open panel also. So feel free to come out and change. It's also I said this space would be not only Pride, but people that need like a safe space away from Pride to like process or talk about something else. So it's kind of serving both purposes. But tonight for me, it's to get me in the mood for Pride tomorrow. And other than that, nothing. Just open panel. The link should be posted. Tell your friends, bring some people over. Let me see who is streaming tonight. Flo was streaming earlier. Ooh, Blood Sports, Verbal Combat. Let's see who's on. We got nobody I recognize actually. A bunch of new people. We're talking about abortion. Well, maybe we can watch a little bit of that later. Andrew. Someone I was talking to someone about my that debate I did with Andrew. I debated him twice. Once the first time was on gay marriage, and the second time was also on gay marriage, but it was during verbal combat. It was for like 10 minutes. It was very compressed. But both times the experience was very similar. I felt like there was this emotional reaction he had to me that he got locked into over and beyond any of other debate tactics, rhetorical maneuvers, logical points he wanted to make. There was something like emotional there too. And I knew it couldn't be personal because we didn't know each other at all. And I think it was what I represented in his mind or to his worldview. And I didn't really think much about it, but he acted like that both times. And I had a friend looked at it and they said that they listened to it like in the background, audio, and they also watched it at some point, and they noticed something when they watched it that they did not pick up when they listened to it. And I said that's probably the same kind of stuff I don't pick up on because I'm very auditory and I'm not visual and I don't notice the visual stuff. And they said what they picked up on was the emotion of contempt and how physical the debate was. And I said, I don't even know what that means, physical. It didn't seem like that to me. I didn't sense contempt. I sensed like a defensive reaction on his part, like when people are under threat or feel under threat. It was more that emotion. But I'm wondering if that's the stuff I pick up on. And if it was contempt, if I don't pick, like if people have, because that's the things in interpersonal relationships that I miss. Like when people have negative emotions, maybe I don't pick up on negative emotion, although I should. I grew up in it. I don't know. It just had me thinking about all kind of stuff. And especially because I talk about emotional intensity here, and I even like my own even comes on display, and that I would miss it directed at me in the middle of this very heated debate with this very like also passionate kind of type A aggressive guy. But also, that's kind of a masculine norm for me too. So that personality type doesn't really throw me. Like men yelling and screaming at each other over issues and arguing is normal. Like we grew up. Like I grew up my whole life doing that with everybody. Like we all did with each other. Not constantly, but it wasn't a big deal when it happened. So I wonder if some of it could be cultural too. I do know there's different cultural like ways that different culture handle emotion. We even when we were reading about the Greeks, how even the Greeks thought it was this mysterious, what was it, mysterious and frightful or something, and a force that couldn't be controlled. It took possession of a person instead of the person possessing their emotions, which is how I think of it. I think of emotions as natural. They're just something that happens to a person. Um, but the person, it's their feelings and their emotions. They own them. It belongs to them. They are not the emotion. I don't believe the emotion is possessing them or taking control of them. I believe that there's something larger than the emotion that is possessing it. And that's how it seems when I have emotions. That's not the whole part of me. That's just one little part. No mods around, and it's drunk outside. Actually, I'm the only mod, really, because my wrenches are not supposed to mod. So if anybody ever mods you, they're gonna lose their wrench. But yeah, it's just hangout. Tomorrow is the local pride here, so I'm kind of doing a stream to quote unquote celebrate and prepare for that. But it's open panel, so we'll see who shows up. I'll let it go like my usual half hour, maybe an hour. I was just, I don't know what I was doing. Tell the stories. I guess I should tell pride stories. I don't even know what my first pride was. When did all of that start? I know we didn't have it. We had gay bars in the 90s. We had like my little city had a local gay bar, a gay bar. But we didn't have parades, we didn't have celebrations or marches. Then I moved to another town, then I moved to I remember. I'll tell it to you. It's kind of a sad and tragic pride story, Frank, if you're around. And it's now that I think about it, oh my God, it's kind of a scary story because it's kind of prophetic of my life even today. It was LA Pride. I had just moved to California. Remember, I packed everything up in after college. I got a job. I tried it out for a few months. I decided that middle class, working 9 to 5 was not the life for me. And AOL had just started, and I had discovered like the S&M chat rooms and stuff for the first time. And I got to, that's a good example of like having an identity and not having like being the only identity, the only person that has that identity. So not getting that mirroring that you need to develop it. And for the first time through AOL, they had those BDSM chat rooms. And I would go in there and I would read profiles and I would see the chat. And for the first time in my life, it made me realize that the things I had inside of me that I thought were weird, other people were having too. And so that made them less weird. This is peer support that I'm talking about, y'all. And that it was normal and that people were it wasn't just fantasy. People were actually doing that stuff in reality. And it didn't change my world. It expanded. It was like a second coming out, a second realization about yourself and your sexuality. And I wonder if I should save some of this for our Satanism and sexuality conversation that me and Hydra are supposed to have. I'll tell a little bit of it. It's not like people watch all the streams all the time, so I'm sure it'll be new to a lot of people if I tell it again. So anyway, it was like a second awakening, kind of like because I always knew about the gay and the attraction to men, and so that came out pretty early, and I was comfortable with that, and that got normalized. But I also had these other thoughts mixed in, which didn't seem normal, and other gay people weren't really talking about, and so these chat rooms kind of normalized that. Remember the validation affirmation model? It gave me that for this other layer of sexuality, which I learned is more important even than the initial layer that I thought was the most significant. So anyway, I met this guy. We started talking. He convinced me, enticed me, etc., to move to California. So I packed everything. It was very spontaneous, almost within days, and I was on the road driving to California. And I got there, and I stayed in West Hollywood with a friend for a few weeks, and they were having LA Pride. And that was my first time. I had heard about Pride. You saw it on TV now and then in some of the like alternative media. It wasn't a it was like a remote thing that they did in the big cities. And I was so excited. I'm like, wow, LA Pride. That's a big deal. And I'm actually going to get to go this year. And so and I was talking to some people on AOL in the area as well, and we kind of agreed to meet at Pride too. So I rode up there with my roommates. I was living in Southern California by the time Pride came around. And we parked and we walked several blocks to the Pride. And it was in this big park, and you had to like buy tickets, and it was gated, and you went through the little gate and you got in the park. And there were just hundreds and hundreds of gay people, and everything was out in the open, and it was Pride. Like people were openly being gay, which was kind of normal for West Hollywood, but for me, coming from Louisiana, it was kind of nice to see the big scale version of what we were doing in our little small towns. And somehow I got separated from the roommates, and I got lost, and I ended up by myself. And I was trying to meet these AOL people, and I couldn't find them either. And so I ended up in this big sea of people, and they were normal gays. They were like club gays, twinks, the gays you see on TV. None of them were my crowd, and it was like a giant gay bar outdoors, and I was by myself, and there was more people than I had ever been around probably in my life. And so I wandered through the crowd and found my way, and at the edge of the park they had this row of trees, and they had like big branches that hung low to the ground, and you could sit in them. So what I did was I just sat in one of those branches. I like just curled up in a branch and just sat there, and I was very detached from my surroundings. I was not engaged with the event. I probably looked a little lost, maybe depressed or worried or anxious. And I remember this black lesbian saw me, and she came over and she started talking to me. And we talked for like, it felt like hours, but I was just sat in the tree and talked to her. And I like was opening up to her about, I don't know anybody, I'm lost, I don't relate to these people, this is my first Pride, etc., etc. And she like understood and empathized, and she told me a little bit about herself. And I think eventually we walked around, or eventually I started walking around, and I found my people, and then it was time to go home at that point. So I didn't really, the whole Pride was me alone, not relating to this crowd of people, this whole sea of people, and sitting in a tree and having the black woman come over and comfort me and nurture me and listen to my problems. And I mean, she talked about herself too, but I was the one most in a situation. And then we went home, and everybody talked about how much fun they had. And I'm like, I'm glad they had fun. I had kind of a lonely, isolated time. And that was kind of how it was before in the gay world, and kind of how it was ever since. And I've come to realize since, like I consider myself more of a BDS, a kinkster who happens to be gay than a gay person, than a member of the gay community who's into kink, like the gay kink community. Even in gay kink spaces, like leather bars and bars that are strictly kink, but for men only, gay men. I kind of fit in more there than other bars, but there was still that weird gay dynamic underneath it all. Where I fit in best was in the straight kink community, or not even the straight kink community, the mainstream kink community, because there were all sexualities, all orientations, and it was large enough, it was diverse enough. So I felt more like part of that community than I ever did the gay community. But even within that, I think there's room for specific subcultures, like all male subcultures or all female or all gay or whatever. And so I guess just like in real life, when my sexual awareness shifted from being gay to being sadomasochistic, my social identity, I guess, took the same route from being part of the gay community to being part of the BDSM community, which is where I am now, which is where most Satanists either end up or start out. So it's just the normal part of being a Satanist, just life as a devil worshiper. I-Fi is streaming, or is he restreaming? Let's see. Tomato? Is that Sarah Tomato? It sure is. And Trippycast, Ezra. We are.
Women are not myopic. Men are myopic. They have tunnel vision.
Monotropism,
What's
especially autistic.
Myopic means you have tunnel vision. You can only focus in on what you're focusing
What's
in,
it?
and you can't see all the other things that are going on around you.
Yeah, do I know
And
male
women,
attention span or what?
biologically, we have to be able to see the whole pie going on around us. Okay, if
Or
she's a good
feel
woman,
the pie.
she can do that.
Sense
And
the pie.
part of our job is to also to help men to see what it is that they can't freaking see because they're so focused in on what it is that they're focused in on, which could be anything. It could be work, it can be a hobby, it can be an addiction,
Gaming.
it can be all yes, it can be any of those types of things. And I think we're misconstruing the issue that we're supposed to be there for each
I
other.
want to talk to
okay?
this lady.
We really are. We are made independently, but when we come together, we make the whole. We complete
How can
the
you
whole
be
circle.
there
Without
for
each other,
somebody?
we are
something
fragmented
that threatens
pieces
you?
that are not
Sets off the
functioning
fear
very
instinct
properly.
in you.
And so when we come together and we make that whole, it's very harmonious. But the issue is that the males today are turning the women that they are with into their mothers. Okay.
No,
And they want everything done for them, and they want everything easy for
You
them
are
the way that their mothers
overlooking the
would have
female
done
role
that
in
for
that
them.
dynamic.
And that's
And the women
part
are turning
of
them
the
into their
issue.
daddies.
They're children.
Not real daddies.
I don't want to. I don't want to do
No,
anything.
that's the
I can talk
problem.
about. I should
You
go on
cannot-
a panel. Is there a way
if
for
you
me to go
cannot-
on and
If you
still
cannot
stream?
compete with my father, you are not worthy.
I have something to say about daddy.
You are
See,
not
Fi's
worthy.
had one too many women go, oh, daddy.
Yeah.
That's what happened there.
He's streaming.
misconstrued.
What he's doing. Is there a way to do
But
that?
I agree, Nova. We need more yang to the yin. There's too much yin and there's too much yang.
I
We
agree,
need
I
yin
find.
yangs.
Like
I do agree.
I'm a very diverse woman. Like I've ran companies, I've ran crews of men. I can get shit done. That's not a problem for me. And I can help people who need help. My
Frank,
problem is when you want me to start changing your diapers and you can't stand on your own 2
I
feet
know
and
guys
show me
like
some
that. My
freaking
ex was like that.
initiative. That's
You know,
when
some
I
dudes
start
are into the diapers.
That
So
is
you
true.
need
That
some
is a new
yang
fetish.
to your
ABDL.
yin, which is what I just said.
Absolutely. That's
And
absolutely
sissy
right.
porn.
If you can't match I hate to use the word energy, at least my tenacity. If you can't match my
Yeah.
tenacity,
I
we're
like
not
this
going to get
chick.
along on any
Nova,
level because I'll railroad you.
please
Not
come and
because I
Yes.
want
let me
to,
go.
but just because
But
I'm going to go in the
isn't-
comment section.
But isn't it true? If I know I can annihilate you, if I know I can make you cry, you are not worthy.
You need to
You
find
are-
a stronger
you are
man.
not worthy. If I know I can take an advantage of you, I choose not.
Or maybe
I'm-
turn off your feminazi bitch mode. You know, that's also an
But
option.
it's not there. That's the thing.
I'm
Like,
not
but
Yeah.
now hold up,
All right.
hold up. There is one key factor here. All
If
of
I
these
can't
men
stream, I
expect
can at least
women to
participate
just
in the
be in their
comments.
feminine the minute we meet them. Oh, I just met you at the bar. Oh, I just ran into you at the grocery store. Oh, we just ran into each other on the street, whatever. And you expect me to be like, oh, hi, yeah, let me just be submissive to some strange man I don't know.
But who
No.
expects you to do that?
And we're
What
not
world are you
supposed
living
to.
in, woman, lady?
No.
What is
The
she
answer is
talking about?
no. We are that's why women
don't know
can
if I could
go
go on the
back and
panel
forth.
now.
That's why we can go masculine and feminine, because we have to protect that
When do
piece
you?
of it.
When do?
So you're
oh,
saying that women can have
oh.
standards too, just like men have?
All right, I gotta stop this for a second. I'm just confused. But I am learning. This is one thing I am starting to be convinced of because I'm seeing it happen in action. Women, and I'm using the category broadly, definitely not people like me, male and neurodivergent, are able to pick up and catch things that I'm not. And I don't know how they're doing it, but oftentimes they're right. I do think that I definitely know I have blind spots for sure. And so I think just ordinary, like everybody has an advantage of me where my blind spots are. But then I think there's something I'm missing in particular, just what she said, that monotropism. I think women do see. I can even think about that in childhood, like going back to childhood, growing up with my younger sister. I grew up around a lot of women. I do think that well, I was pretty oblivious as a kid anyway. I think most of the adults noticed things that I did, but women in particular, I do think. I don't know. I don't want to say notice or observe because that sounds visual, and some of it might be, but it's something else. And they're not always right. That's the problem. So epistemologically, it's not. I need to merge it with logic to fully trust the picture. And a lot of times they want me to just take their word for it, especially when there's a bunch of women that are convinced they're seeing the same thing. I still need to understand it to act on it. So yeah, I guess that's. But I do have a lot to say about this topic, especially the daddy part. But it's also bringing up a lot of hot buttons for me. All right. I don't want that to be the whole content, but I am kind of sucked into it as well. I tell you what, if nobody comes up, I'll give it like, I don't know, 20, 30 more minutes. If nobody shows up, maybe I'll go hop on another panel. And then Flo is up to something. He's restreaming Izzy Bands. I don't know who these people are. I-Fi. Ooh, they did some more Evergreen Watch Party. That would be. Let's look at some of that. Oh, and look, this is perfect because he's all decked out for Pride. Here we go. I got us a little bit of content.
Gracious. Sorry for that delay there. Always one more thing in the chicken licking to be sticking
That robe.
You look prideful.
Pride cometh
He looks
before the
Playboy.
July.
Gay boy Playboy.
That's what they say.
How you doing?
Straight as the new
Great.
gay.
How are you?
It really is if you look at this channel.
Good. What are we doing here today?
Well, I think we're gonna look at some more Evergreen. It's the
Hey, get to it then. Here, let
the
me help you
saga
out.
that keeps.
This is an ADHD channel. We don't have time for all this.
And there we-
Copyright.
Well, you can round me an applause.
Oh.
In their education, deciding what they learn, how they learn, and we also believe that they're going to be our change makers in the future. Our number one goal was to close the achievement gap. And for 10 years, we did this by focusing just on academics. And we realized that is not enough and that we really need to rethink our curriculum and rethink the culture of our school to be culturally responsive and to be actively anti-racist.
We're learning a lot about like different issues in this world.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Is she saying that the academic achievement gaps are somehow because white people are racist? Like they found a way to keep black people from achieving at the same level as whites?
And like we're
I'm
mostly
suspicious.
thinking about like racial and culture in my class and how we could change the future.
Why?
We have all of these different people that
All
are
you're gonna do is
activists,
end up back
and
where we
have
already were
people
in the
that are
70s
taking
and 80s.
action,
Y'all are
and
regressing.
we're learning
Y'all
how
are
to take
throwing a
action
leash.
in social studies now.
We've seen our students become empowered. We've seen them see that even at the age of 4, that they can take an active role and be activists. And so it's through this work that we realize that education without this conversation.
Okay, this is real, right? This is not a conspiracy, right? I'm not imagining that it's happening. She's showing that it's really happening. If the sources are right, which I trust Benjamin. He's very credible, successful at what he does. This is happening.
Isn't going to make a difference for our children.
I see teaching as a very political act. When we are engaging with our students, whether it's on social justice issues or multicultural issues or culturally relevant teaching, I see that as foundational to all learning.
What? We learned about the paideia today, like all that goes all the way back to Greek, that teaches logic and critical thinking and philosophy. What is she talking about? That's the foundation of education. I should not have started.
Nobody. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Pretty much. I had Brett like years ago, so I'm just kind of curious as to what happened. I don't really follow it. Do you know what happened? Yeah. Can you point me in a direction to find out more?
We're gonna commentary.
Oh, they're coming though. Somebody wants to go get it.
Here, let me see if they commentary.
Stacey Brown, Wendy Endress, and then there's a black guy right behind there. They dragged him out of admissions to have representation.
Remember that, yeah.
And he just sits there absorbing all their hate. And then the next day he's doing his job, and this white student apparently comes up to him and says, why aren't you helping us? Like, we're doing this for you. And he flips the fuck out. And he starts throwing trash cans and he yells at the students.
Nope.
So I feel really bad for him, like in a moment of really unprofessional vulnerability. But like, this is just how much pressure that he was under.
Yeah.
And George Bridges, I have to say this, they were going through the entire library building and rounding up anybody who worked there. And there was a mentally challenged just janitor person that was cleaning out the bathroom. They went in and they hounded her. They were also hounding
what were they trying to get them to do?
To stand up. Like, they were just going wild. Like, you have to go and do this thing. She didn't understand what was going on. She gets terrified. She hides in a little bathroom stall.
Oh my God.
And then the cash office has to lock down. And George hasn't told anybody to lock down. He's like, no, we can just handle it. So there's actual money. There's student records there. Like, they have responsibility to the government to protect these records. And George is just like, no security. We're just going to let this happen.
Yeah.
And he doesn't issue any orders.
There's no ability to draw a boundary.
All the people down beneath him have to just make.
There's no way this would happen at my university.
What they have to protect. He doesn't do anything and doesn't pay for it at all.
What a moment when he says that he needs to be like, he's asking this kid, not a kid, but this young adult who's acting completely irresponsibly. And he's asking him permission to go to the bathroom. Yeah. That was incredible.
Hold it.
That's incredible.
Later, I think in the next episode, we get to the next episode, he's actually shepherded back and forth to the bathroom. He has like a little.
Well, we'll have to tune in for that. All right, Tomato's still talking. I'm done. Maybe I should just go hop around the panelverse. Nobody's showing up tonight. I am not the hot tea. Our pride is not. Which I'm burning to get into some of these conversations though. But then part of my problem, the reason I don't go in other panels is because the women get set off by me, and then everybody starts white knighting for them, and then I have to leave. So they can't handle my Satanism, my fire, my satanic, my intensity. And so I need to stay in my little corner of hell for now. But let me check and see if I can work the comment section. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm not going to stream it, but I'm watching it. Oh, iFi's gone. It looks like the panel is slowed down. There's less people on it now. And Chaotic Truth is on. I'm not going to go try to compete with that. I do like that Nova person. Yeah, now they're talking race stuff. Okay, so much for that. Well, I'm not going to stay on too long then if there's not. So the plan tomorrow is coffee. Devil coffee in the morning, whatever time. And then depending on the weather and the day and circumstances, I might go out and try to stream Pride. If not, I'll just do a day stream, just an open panel around the same time, 3 p.m. And then the evening will get played by ear. It depends on what happens during day Pride, gay Pride. All right, well, I need another cup. That's what I'll do. I'll play some video, go grab another cup. In fact, watch a little bit more of... No, never mind. They switched to Chaotic Truth. Let me find a video for y'all. I don't want to keep showing last year's Pride. Oh, I did. Yeah, I remember. I showed the queer Satanists the other day, but the sound was off. So I'll replay that one with the sound on. Here. All right, the sound is on the video. Let me see how to make it share. To share audio, share a tab or screen. Instead, no, not entire screen. Wait. Oh, window. I'm not sure how to do this. I don't see an option to share the audio, and I don't know why. Can y'all see this? Hear this? Is anybody watching? Is there audio? And if so, how do I share it? If not, it's a StreamYard thing. I've never had problems showing videos before, though. To share audio, share a tab or screen instead. I don't know what that means. Oh. I might have gotten to it. Hang on. Also share audio. Oh, okay. We'll see if this works. Is that showing? All right. Hopefully that's showing. Oh, I guess it. Hang on. Is that showing? Or is StreamYard showing? I don't know if. Fuck it. I'm just gonna end the stream. I was trying to go get a refill, but nobody's here. All right. Well, thanks for coming to Happy Gay Satanic Pride. Population 0. Have a good rest of your night. I might try to go on some other streams and then see where that goes. And if not, I'll be here for coffee and we'll see if Pride happens tomorrow. So take care, everybody. Here, let me see you out with some dance music. Here we go. Keep doing your thing, whatever it is. Have pride in yourself, whoever you are. Don't let people tell you what you have to have pride in. Have pride in you. All right. Take care. Hell safe.